first to report having encountered strange voices and unexplained phenomena. One of the most famous ghostly entities said to roam the hospital is that of a nurse known as Nurse Eden. According to legend, Nurse Eden was deeply committed to her patient and worked tirelessly during her time at the clinic. Some believe that her spirit lingers in the hospital, continuing to care for the patients who suffer here, even in that visitors reported hearing the sound of airy footsteps and the rustling of the nurse's uniform. Even though the building is completely void of rhythm, and that the ghost associated with Whittingham Hospital is the Lady in White. In fact, I'm starting to think that this Lady in White is actually just hiding there, because I swear to the heavens above that she has appeared in every single ghost video I've made. She would be so silly. She go on a tour of people just really not creative and lady with pearls. She's often seen wandering in hospital halls, heavens accompanied by eerie chills, overwhelming scented I believe that she may have been a former patient. What nurse was getting to work in the Cross Chapel is another location that's causing conflict, as well as the chapel, isn't it? Witnesses have reported hearing faint whispers, disembodied voices, and the sound of organ music emanating from the chapel, even though it hasn't been used for decades. Well, the atmosphere in this abandoned place is incredibly uncomfortable and haunted. It's not surprising in the slightest that many believe the spirits of the deceased still linger in the walls. Number 4, County Hospital. This county hospital is a medical facility in part of the It is definitely gained popularity for more than just its This small abandoned hospital has become the subject of numerous ghost stories and paranormal reputation as one of the most haunted asylums in the world. The hospital's strange history began in the late 1800s when it was first founded as a state-of-the-art mental institution. Over the years, it grew to care for a wide range of patients, from the mentally ill to those with severe physical medical conditions. However, it is the alleged treatment of the mentally ill patients that left a sinister imprint on this building's hallway wall. Many claims of paranormal sightings in Essex County Hospital revolve around the abandoned psychiatric and visitors tend to hear disembodied voices, eerie whispers, and the sound of footsteps echoing boldly through the empty hallways. Witnesses have even reported shadowy figures moving about, only to vanish into thin air. These strange entities are thought to be tormented souls, leading some to believe that the hospital's troubled history has left broken, lingering spirits behind. One of the chilling stories around the former nurse who is said to still roam the hospital's near empty corridors. It's said that she was driven to madness by the relentless demands of her job and actually took her own life during one of her regular shifts. Visitors and paranormal investigators have even reported encountering her ghostly figure, dressed in an old nurse's uniform, wandering aimlessly and emitting an energy like an aura. The morgue of the hospital is another area where paranormal activity is frequently reported. Witnesses have claimed to hear strange, unexplained noises and have also felt sudden drops in temperature. Some have even reported seeing figures of patients who away within the hospital's walls, wandering around. Essex County Hospital's notoriety has attracted paranormal investigators from everywhere. Many have conducted extensive research within the building, managing to capture unexplained phenomena on audio and video recordings. Legends and ghost stories have only intensified the hospital's supernatural reputation. Residents avoid the area at night. Honestly, props to them. They're smart. Don't walk near the creepy abandoned hospital filled with scorned creatures alone at night. Night is when the bad things happen. Night is when there is definitely someone chasing you as you run up the stairs at the center of the light. Skeptics often scoff at claims of ghostly encounters, but the giant volume of reported paranormal activity can't be ignored. Whether you're a plain-minded skeptic or a curious believer in the supernatural, the stories surrounding this abandoned hospital continue to intrigue anyone who hears its unsettling story. Number 3, Danvers State Hospital. Danvers State Hospital, located in Danvers, Massachusetts, has a twisted and haunted history that is known for captivating the imagination of paranormal enthusiasts and the curiosity of brave urban explorers. It's considered one of the most well-known and haunted asylums within the United States. Danvers State Hospital was constructed in 1874 and was originally known as the State Lunatic Hospital at Danvers. It was designed by an architect as a sprawling Kirkbride plan institution. This design was highly preferred in the 19th century due to its focus on natural light and, more importantly, patient comfort. However, over time, the hospital faced issues relating to overcrowding, underfunding, and development surrounding the knowledge and treatment of psychiatric care. Danvers State Hospital became notorious for its mistreatment of patients, overcrowding, and unsanitary conditions. Signs of neglect, harm inflicted by staff, and experimental treatments added to its disturbing reputation. The hospital's history is drowned in tragedy. Thousands of patients passed away within continuous walls over the years. The hospital's architecture, which features a central administration building with rooms extending outward, became a sharp silhouette on the Massachusetts landscape. The hospital's attic appearance also played a role in its association with paranormal activity. From newspaper articles, tourism and mental health organizations famously launched the event for abolishment of Danvers State Hospital. It officially closed its doors in 1992, causing the province to face years of abandonment and nature claim deterioration. Danvers State Hospital's association with the paranormal began to increase dramatically during the period of the golden age. Urban explorers and ghost hunters reported strange interactions and occurrences, including unexplained noises, odd figures, and a general feeling of unease. The hospital's decaying interiors and labyrinth-like layout only further contributed to the sense of doom. In 2005, the administration building was renovated and repurposed into luxury apartments known as the Residences the Page School. However, the other wings of the hospital were demolished to make way for new things. The history of haunting even inspired a 2001 horror film called Second Night, which was set and actually partially filmed on the real hospital grounds. Despite the changes to the property and the demolition of much of the hospital, Danvers State Hospital remains a symbol of its troubling history of mental health care in the youth. Number 2, Old Chelsea Hospital, Singapore. The Old Chelsea Hospital, located in Singapore, is a haunting relic of the past, notorious for its eerie and unsettling history, like many others here. This abandoned medical facility with its dark past and countless paranormal encounters has become the focus of local legends and a location of paranormal fascination. The hospital was built in the early 1930s and was initially used as a military hospital for British forces. During World War II, it witnessed significant trauma and suffering while it was used as a prisoner of war camp by the Japanese. The hospital's history is tainted by atrocities committed during the Japanese occupation. Many prisoners of war, including Allied soldiers and civilians, suffered unspeakable horrors within its thick walls. Claims of torment, brutality, and death all contributed to the building's dark and unsettling presence. After the war, the Old Chelsea Hospital continued to serve as a medical facility, but its patients began to experience strange displays of paranormal activity. The stories of the paranormal activity soon began to spread throughout the hospital. Visitors and staff often reported hearing strange noises, disembodied voices, and witnessing oddities from another dimension. Commonly reported encounters include sightings of shadowy figures, the sound of footsteps in empty corridors, and mysterious, unexplained events. One of the most well-known stories associated with the hospital is the Lady in Red. According to the legend, a woman dressed in red is often spotted aimlessly roaming through the hospital's hallways. Some believe that she may be the spirit of a nurse from the hospital's past, forever trapped within its walls. Paranormal investigators and enthusiasts have flocked to the Old Chelsea Hospital to explore its haunted reputation even further, hoping that they may be fortunate enough to catch even just a glimpse of an unknown entity. Many have managed to capture audio recordings, photographs, and video footage supposedly documenting encounters with spirits or unexplained events. These investigators have even further fueled the already blazing fire of this building's haunted reputation. In recent years, the Old Chelsea Hospital has been featured in various paranormal television shows. The Old Chelsea Hospital's strong history and reported encounters with the unexplained make it an enduring and eerie landmark in Singapore. Number 1, Penhurst State School and Hospital. Penhurst State School and Hospital, found in Spring City, Pennsylvania, has a sinister history full of allegations surrounding the serious neglect and harmful mistreatment of its residents. This tragic past has given rise to numerous claims of paranormal activity, turning Penhurst into a hotspot for ghost lovers, paranormal investigators, and curious minds. Penhurst was established in 1908, initially intended to be an institution for the care and treatment of individuals with neurodivergent brains and serious mental health concerns. Good to know. Anyone with neurodivergent back then was classified as legally insane. However, over the decades, like many others on this list, the facility became overcrowded, understaffed, and plagued by claims of inhumane treatment towards its patients. Reports of physical and psychological harm, as well as overcrowded and unsanitary conditions, created a lot of controversy and upset in the community. Not enough for them to do anything about it, but in their heads, they were very upset. The mistreatment and neglect of residents at Penhurst eventually led to its closure in 1987, after over 80 years after the doors first opened. The facility was abandoned and left to be forgotten and taken over by nature. Stories of the cruel suffering endured by its residents did not fade. Instead, these stories contributed to the now well-known reputation that Penhurst has. One of the most known paranormal activity hotspots within Penhurst is the Mayflower Building. This building was once home to some of the institution's most vulnerable residents, who all met easy reaches ends. Visitors exploring the abandoned grounds have reported hearing looming voices, footsteps, and the sounds of wheelchairs moving in the hall. Many believe that the tormented, vengeful spirits of former residents continue to roam the Mayflower Building, able to find peace even in death. The Penhurst State School and Hospital is placed ghost tours and paranormal investigations, attracting curious individuals from all over the globe. These tours offer enthusiasts a chance to explore the decaying building and a chance to potentially encounter one of the restless spirits that inhabit the ground.
Exactly, boy.
The stories of paranormal activity at Funhouse can be attributed to the tragic history of the institution and the power of suggestion. Many who have visited the site claim to have had inexplicable and chilling experiences.
This is now located in Washington, D.C. and has quite the history to it. USA Today writes, quite possibly the most famous hotel in the Passover area and has hosted many a politician, including the Obamas before inauguration. In 1884, best friend John A., Abraham Lincoln's private secretary and later a Secretary of State, and Henry Adams, the author and descendant of John Quincy, built their homes on a plot of land where the hotel now sits. In 1927, 9 years after Adams' death, the houses were razed and replaced by the hotel it stands today. Adams once married to Adams killed herself on the site in 1885, and her spirit reportedly haunts the hotel. Guests and staff say they can hear a woman crying softly, disembodied voices, and doors opening and closing on them. What is it about hotels and people speaking their own mind? Because there are so many hotels that someone left the world long too early, and usually it was their decision to do so. For an exception, he has made this hotel a very hospitable place to stay. Sometimes you're going to be surprised with a creature or spirit in the hotel, but the spirit absolutely wails. All the time, it screams and crying her. In fact, it's so repetitive that it gets less scary and more of an annoyance than anything else. It's also all the time. Marion likes to move things and steal items. Oftentimes, the vast majority of people are gone if they leave the hotel for an extended period of time and then come back. Now, maybe this part of one of the hotel workers
Thieves.
claiming an honor, but either way, you don't miss anything. It's overall a horrible experience being in this hotel for an extended period of time, and I would recommend it to anyone. Number 4 on this list is Hotel Provincial. Located in New Orleans, this hotel is teeming with paranormal energy. USA Today says the 2-story Hotel Provincial with 94 rooms in the historic French Quarter is extremely New Orleans. Like many New Orleans properties, it also claims to be a popular paranormal activity hub. Like other area hotels, it has a medical facility for wounded Confederate soldiers and is said to still possess their spirits. From distressed soldiers and operating doctors to pools of blood, guests reported in awe. It's usually staying approximately 2 cities, which also a stop on many walking ghost tours of the city as well. Pools of blood, guys. Literal pools of blood. Imagine walking in your hotel room after a long day of doing stuff, getting in your PJs, moving the comforter over to your bed, slip in, and then seeing a bunch of blood just ooze out. This is a that would actually scar me for life if something like that had been done. Not to mention people being scarred when they come here. People
Okay.
while staying here, waking up to a spirit completely ravaging them and having no idea how or why it happened. This is not a hotel you stay at, and you will literally risk your safety if you do. Number 3 on this list is Spicer Hotel. This one has been around for a while and has had a lot of people scared to stay here. Traveling Leisure says the historic Spicer Hotel opened in Milwaukee in 1893 with elegant interiors and advanced technology for the time, including electricity, individual thermostat controls, and fireproofing, making it one of the most sought-after accommodations in the city. The hotel is supposedly home to a number of spooky sightings. In fact, several MLB players have reported their own personal ghost experiences in the hotel, and some are even too scared to stay there again. So I actually run a podcast all about MLB because I run this podcast. I'm pretty knowledgeable about the MLB. I have literally heard of this hotel before even doing research on this video. Players will flat out refuse to play here now because they get way too scared and think that it's sleep when they're there. Then obviously when they play the game the next day, they're gone because they just spent the entire night basically spending for their lives in this haunted hotel. It's really too bad that it has to be this way because this is apparently one of the nicer hotels in Milwaukee. It's definitely one of the oldest, and definitely the best place to stay if you want to stay in New York City. Hopefully the JDay72 eventually leave and we can all enjoy it once again without getting completely haunted. Number 2 was the
Wow.
and it's
Oh, got it left.
in Empire State. It wasn't always the lovely and renovated hotel that it is today. Prior to this being a beautiful place to stay, this was actually a hospital and a place for doctors to stay. Obviously, during that period, it saw a lot of illness and death, and that has tainted the space. But believe it or not, though, this isn't the only set of tragedies that this location has seen. Before it was a hospital, before it was anything at all, on this very site where the hotel currently sits, was the Battle of the Alamo. The Battle of the Alamo was the most revolution for 13 brutal days in 1836. It was between the Mexican soldiers and the Texan soldiers. The Mexican soldiers won out and killed every single one of the Texan soldiers who were there defending their fort. This battle is one of the most famous for how horrible and real it was. It's no wonder the Valencia is haunted and will specifically next month here. Which saw its fair share of horrible things too. Rather than just like that, all roaming around the halls, kids and doctors as well. Even been a few occasions where people have reported images of being on the battlefield and if they were transported there. Definitely the final day in the big and finally, people on the top. This is a that has been open to the traffic. Traffic laser says, beautiful Central Bay in Mexico is now history. Since 1609, a number of events have been located on this very site, but a handful of events may be the commonest in these contents. According to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the ghost of a dove found in the lobby, a businessman who came in every step away at the hotel before jumping down the well, and a bride killed on her wedding night are just a few of the spirits that you may come across during this day. That stone spirit question things. What it means is that it's a little bit off the tree, totally separate, completely different sides of it, all took place right here.
Oh, man.
It could be a coincidence, but it's still a rapid one if you ask me. But there was always something about this place that was off. They usually have this horrible reaction. I honestly can't say for sure, but something's fishy about this hotel, and I wouldn't recommend checking it out if I were you.
King Opera House. The King Opera House in Van Buren was built in the late 19th century. They didn't get famous from the show yet, consider its beautiful exterior. Instead, Opera House was noted for its connection to murder. Rumors that it is haunted by the murder.
How about... Yo, shit. Okay. Yeah, but dude. Fuck. Emergency, huh?
I guess that's probably why you're here.
I'm here today because a longtime friend of mine, I went out of town in August of '09. I had to watch my kids because my birthday was August 8th. Come back home, had not on her hair really bad, really bad. I asked her, I said, well, Jay, what happened to my child? She tells me, she ran into the wall. I said, no, Jay, that bump isn't consistent, with a running through the wall. So she couldn't tell me what happened to my daughter. So I called the police. And as I called the police, she still wouldn't tell the police what happened and nothing like that. So I took my daughter to the area hospital. And, they said that they really didn't, it was with a child. They couldn't just go off the hearsay. So I kept asking. How old is the child that got the head wound? My daughter's 5. And was she able to tell you what happened? Yeah, she told me and the police officer exactly what happened. On top of that, she pinpoint at my 3-year-old daughter.
So, what did your daughter exactly say?
My daughter said, "Mom, Latoya hit me in the head with a belt buckle." From that day, Latoya, can you please tell me? Please just tell me what happened to my daughter.
So now the police, they come and you know, they hear the story. So what happens after that?
The investigators were still there for a while. Police questioned DFS, but the case was closed. So that's how investigation.
You took a lie detector test. Latoya took a lie detector test. If she passes, obviously, you know, I'm sure give her some comfort. But if she fails,
Everything I could possibly change with every breath that I have.
all right, your former friend, so trusted, to watch your post, and got the shots of light. Has she watched the show even once after this episode happened? Well, yes. Why would she watch it? So what makes you say, oh, this is what I started to know. How much you spend about. That's it's a set spend. We want to tell a good story on this show. I know. Don't tell me this is all thinks there is something.
Same thought. That's what it seemed like. How young is Steve?
Albert Cole asked sexual assault against his 4-year-old daughter. You answer no. The result for that question told true.
Yo.
You answer yes. Yes to that. You're straight to the belt. Have you ever disciplined children with excessive force? The answer no. Did you hit Chastity?
Oh, she lied. She lied.
Have you physically abused Chastity's children on any other occasion? And you answered no. And the results?
You lied.
For those 3 questions, your lie is that you did not.
At least she didn't sexually abuse her.
This is a good chance here, okay? You admitted that you were the government account. So this is, this one, maybe you didn't mention it. You did hit the child. You did hit the child. And you know what? Give you every opportunity up here to at least come clean about a little bit.
You don't have your own kids.
You know, it's nice. I guess the must lie here. And how do you know that? My daughter. And you're still there. Okay. So somehow you separate.
About a year ago, we separated. And when she started dating the boyfriend, I voiced my concerns. He's an alcoholic, very violent, he's women. As going on, but he wants to go ahead my daughter changing. And my wife came to pick her up. I showed her the series that I noticed. And I made it very clear that he was not to be alone with her.
So you know some injuries. You pointed them out to your wife. And did you take it to a doctor?
She said she was going to.
It?
Like my daughter, like Friday,
You were born that way. Doctor knows you that. It's different. So, when you told us, your reaction was what?
I was furious. I went off. They escorted him off, and they had to hold me from going out.
What is that?
He promised that to me everything.
Are they still together?
As far as I was told, no.
Like, she broke up.
What I was told.
And, well, what that brought your wife to say, they turned up about it.
Talked about it, but also that.
All right, well, he's here today. Let's bring him out and let you.
Beat his ass.
Excuse me, I'm doing this. You have no right because you don't know that he's not free. You don't. You only see your body in this thing. You think that you want to come sometimes to a big doctor. You're setting up for people. Done before. I didn't do anything before. What do you know? You're making up accusations and everything and stuff like that. You're going by what people told you. They don't tell you. All right.
How long have you been dating his wife?
About 7 months.
7 months. February. Do you think it's strange that you're dating a married woman?
Well, they were separated.
Well, you're still married.
Yeah, we were going, I've been helping around with the divorce and everything.
Because she tells you I want to get divorced.
Yeah, she wants to get divorced. She doesn't want to do it. I don't know where you're getting that from. Because how she tells me.
Hold on 1 second. I'm asking you. So you start seeing her and she's saying, I want to get divorced. And your feelings towards her are,
Well, we were great friends and everything. And now I think I'm really in love with her.
you're in love with her. And you're having physical say that again?
The love.
Are you having
Give her drugs or she'll have sex with you. Give her drugs. She said it herself.
Okay. Do you have sex?
Yes.
Okay. So you're in love with her?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, did you sexually inappropriately touch her? Is that first time that you've done this in the past. Is that true?
That's the first time.
Well, what I'm saying, if you have what are you so worried about? Now you're correct in the sense that as mother you say everything's difficult because you don't know what a husband looks like. You look like the nice guy in the world. And you can do it, right? Yeah. So you're correct in saying that, but I'm saying it's not me. I can't style, so I'm saying I can do it, but I'm not. You have been in a relationship with this guy, right? You have been before?
Yes.
What kind of relationship do you have? A quick story, which means what? No, so let's come to a stop. That's for you. Let's bring out your husband, Russell, and his wife. When it's just sit down, you mind if I put the phone on? How many times will you be? Just you asked, did you ever sexually molest Stephanie's daughter? You answered no. The results for your polygraph
Beat his ass right now. Beat his fucking ass. Get his ass, bruh. I love that reaction, my nigga.
No, I did not touch her. I did not
I
touch
love
her.
that fucking.
I would never do that. Never. I didn't touch her. I might take another 10. No way. No possible. You ain't getting anybody.
They're gonna kill that nigga, bruh. And I don't blame him. You bitch.
Believe me, trust me. I didn't do it. There was no possible. I didn't do it. Touched her. No, I never touched her. I swear to God. I swear to God. Okay. My mind was wandering during the test here. I still just wondering your person test. Perhaps I was scared. Your mind was wandering during the test.
Why are you scared?
Yes. I know. You told me that your mind was wandering out. I was staring at the wall and my mind just kept going back and forth and everything on stuff. I swear to God, I did not touch her. Stephanie took life emotional. No. Did you ever touch your plastic body?
No.
Are the results? How many times did you do the test?
Well, I got cut off with the first
How many times did you do the test? Okay. We gave you the test 4 times.
4 times.
We gave you the test 4 times. And
Oh,
you failed.
you bitch. You bitch.
Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, I just need you to be quiet when we my stage. I will This is very serious. I don't know. I don't know. Understand it? You want to be stuck. Something bad to your daughter. Then you tell me how were you feeling?
I don't know. I really don't.
And she failed it.
Well, there is an investigation of what's happening to your daughter. Something. The good thing why I got off my stage is that because this is a show, the best thing is that there is an investigation. And we have professional police officers, people that deal with this, and on the case, and they can find out about the show, and we can find out what really happened to your daughter, who knows what happened. So, you're just going to give me a chance one more time to say, don't walk my stage. Is there anything else that you would like to say? Right, hold on.
IRS. Is there anything else you'd like to say that you want to use for the background? I don't want to has anyone else heard? I think it's like well, we're going to get this place. It's on what it is you are trying to do. Hopefully, I said, let go. You don't think it's going to go for 20 hours?
Stand there.
Not really. You're right. You're right. Well, it won't go like that. What's that on you? You hit my house. Good. I want you to follow. Follow. If this is not good, why do you mind about something? Keep on jumping. If it leads, and if it leads, what do you do? They're both good. If you do something stupid, what do you do? You can't back it down. Where do you go?
Yeah.
Back it down. Who is going to watch out for that?
Kill them.
You come, right? So the audience, everybody that's watching the show, if you're going to be above God, rise above God, whatever you do, God is best to you. Promise me that? I watch your show. Something you want to say, you know what? He was brave enough to do that. I can do that too.
Lacey, my ex, is accusing Emma, my fiance, of molesting and beating my oldest son. And now it's coming up that she says that Emma beats my youngest son.
It started with, I mean, I first talked to her, she was so pissed off, she was so mad, and she said that I held a pillow over her son's face, and then she said in court that I was molesting him. She doesn't want me and Cindy together. She even said in court that if Cindy would just leave me and break up with me, then she would let him have whatever he wanted to do with him.
He's the one suggesting that she take a life. She wants to prove herself innocent. Lacey said, fine, do it, and you can see your day. She took Rita, 100%, the judge said, great, you have all your education, let's end it right now. That worked out for about 2 months. Then, for no reason, she stopped me from seeing kids again. She showed up at my house screaming to my neighbors, another child molester.
I feel Lacey coming up to me for life hours. It's a whole person. My son started coming forward. He started asking me. He started doing a lot of different things. He really started singing. He started liking things on walls. He started letting himself. Some of it, I honestly thought he was just wanting attention.
We believe he's being abused.
Maybe not my skin, I believe he does.
Let's take a test. By Emma. How about the fact that she took 4 lie detector tests? And she passed them, or 3. She took 3 with the police. And she declared on all 3.
My son has never changed his story in 2 years. He has details that most people wouldn't even know. If it didn't,
I think that it's in the crowd says something like that. But the fact that she went in, 3 lie detector tests, 3 fully clear, she waited a long time to even report it to the police. You know, it gives me a little pause. Does anyone else have anything? Any chance CW did it?
I hope so.
Well,
I
of course.
really don't.
Any chance that you did it?
No.
Did you take a life test? Good. All 3 of you took life test on the show. We're going to get to the bottom of this. This is a statement from the police. A police report. Family asked the oldest boy to enjoy his visit with his father. He said he didn't. Family member asked why he didn't enjoy his visit. He said, I don't like my dada and Emma. The family member asked why, and he told her, Emma put her both, and then put a pillow over his head. He that really hurt the JDay72. So this is Emma. This is your ex's who's with now. Let's bring out Emma. Believe that the child said that he did this horrible sexual act upon him. But you didn't do that too. How many times you take photographs? So now you think you just take one out of it. Well, first thing about this, what did you do? Let's get on study.
How is the person you think you are? You sit here and claim that you want to do everything for the boys, but you don't even call me when you find out what's happening right now. You want to tell everything. I'm not talking to you. Oh, right, well,
Kids, and all of you sit there and laugh at me and say, oh, that's it, yeah.
You yourself said you didn't tell them about the sexual activity. You said you thought this was one of the wrong things. But even so what? So you don't get along with, or, people get divorced all the time, they break up. It sounds kind of serious allegation against them. You saying that you're doing everything else, but this thing you don't count. Do you believe that your son is sexual abuse? I mean, you do. You think anything?
no. He has to be doing that.
Why do you believe he was abused?
Kids don't do that.
Did he tell that to you?
I never do. And that's why I went to court.
Hold on. You never asked your son this happened.
Oh, I just went to the court. That's how I got my education.
You went, what? Okay. Follow. Look at my notes. Did you ever ask your son if somebody sexually abused you?
Yes.
And what did he say?
But no. And later, I'm not asking you, well,
And you believe that he was sexually abused.
I do. Why? Because he said,
What did he say? What did he say?
Kids don't come up
I
with
didn't just say they, you said Emma. Yeah. And you don't believe that there's no way she did it.
Yeah.
There's no way. Yeah, but then I gotta say, I gotta have some belief in the police. They did the drug test. They went to make arrests, and it was worth it.
To be around the kids again.
Kids just call and report in Oregon. They don't get to leave.
How often do you see your boys?
Every other weekend.
Not, right?
Yeah.
And
Supposed to do on Friday, that they don't have.
when they come home from these every other weekend visits, Anything the boys say?
The first thing out of my kid's mouth, he says, "Mommy, I really wish I didn't have to go back to my dad." And I said, "Why is that?" And he goes, "Every single time I go to my dad's, I'm afraid Emma is going to hurt me again." I said, "I know, baby. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do." My son tells me he's in fear every single time he comes back from his dad. Fear of Emma hurting him. And then...
Sexually?
Yes.
Physically?
Yes.
Verbally? Mentally?
Sexually.
Sexually. Are you sexually abusing your boys?
Hell no.
We're going to bring out your sister, Rochelle. Let's bring out Rochelle.
He told me about you. Whatever, Rochelle. You saw him. Oh, yeah. Please let me go.
You're sick of believing me. You guys like to kind of ruin people's lives. Whatever. Any chance that you got sexual deviant with your children? No. You didn't do this? No. You don't abuse your children? No. Okay. You came here and you took life. And we asked you, do you know for sure who molested your own son? You said no. Did you cause the bruises to your young son's face? You said no. Have you ever witnessed Emma physically or sexually abusing any of your children? And you answered no. And the results came back the same for each question, and they came back with 7 told
I ain't got nothing with you, lady.
Unless it's too interesting yours. Lacey, you took the last question. All right, Lacey?
She did it. You gotta smack that bitch in the mouth right now.
Could you make up a story about Emma molesting your oldest son? You said no. Other than Emma, do you know for sure of anyone who molested your oldest son? You said no. Did you show your oldest son say that Emma was sexually or physically abusing him? You answered no. The results of your lie detector test also came back the same to each question. They came back with 2 Lacey also told the truth.
I'm happy for you, because if you would have lied, that's the worst thing that you do is to put that into someone's head. Okay? And I'm
Bitch, let's get to yours. You lied. Because you lied.
Are you excited about your results?
absolutely, I'm ready.
Steve ain't.
Emma, you came here and you did not test on top of the 3 that the police gave you.
Yes, I did.
And we asked, did you call your nephew Douglas' youngest son? You said no. Did you ever put your finger or fingers down Douglas' oldest son? You said no. Yes, no. Have you ever touched Douglas' oldest son to your own sexual gratification? And he said no. The results of your life test came back like the other 3.
CW brings up a really good point. If you think that somebody's acceptable, you can't wait, eat the find out that somebody did do this, get some boundary, go to some professionals, get some professional investigators. But this, wasting your time, and you're just going to make things bad for yourself. Okay? Somebody's going to watch and say, you know what, he was brave enough to do that, I can do that too. I guess it's Alicia, why are you here?
I'm here today because my fiance and I have been together off and on for the past 2 years. We had a great relationship. These past few months have been really rough. He broke into my apartment and stole a cake that him and I had made.
Hey, like a birthday party? What?
A sex tape.
A sex tape?
Him and I were going to look at me about that cake. He was going to look at me where it was.
This is your fiancé. Why does he have to break into your apartment?
We
What's he running in?
were split up.
Oh, you split up.
We were when we were all, we do something like this in the office, get somebody things would happen, and that's the start of it. A week after that, there was new pictures of me up on Facebook that he had sent to family and friends, and his dad was born. He told me about the pictures.
And that should have been before an experience to talk to your dad about it, make a picture of you online.
Oh, very, very.
Are you still with him now?
Yes.
You still dating this guy? He broke and stole a sex tape from you. He posted new pictures of you online. And from what I understand, once something's out, it's all like forever.
What? Yeah, you said the truth.
What's that?
I got it taken down and never
Yeah, well, you can take it down. But some goofball out there clicked on and go, wow, this is great. And he still got a copy of that. Is what I'm saying, you know? And this is that you still with. Why?
He said he didn't do it.
So you're here today to find out if he did do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you took a lie detector test. And what if he fails the lie detector test and he did do it?
Done.
Really? Well,
Put gas or sugar in my gas tank while I had my son. There was a witness that had seen him doing it the next year last night. I was just an older person. So
that's why you stole back with him and give him a chance. And from what I understand, after all this happens, you then got engaged.
he said that he didn't do any of that, that he'd never do anything to hurt me.
Okay, you broke in your house and stole that sex tape.
I believe him.
Did anyone else know about that sex tape?
No.
No one. Okay, so no one knew about it. First of all, you were just going to jail to steal a new sex tape. Now, you guys have daughters.
He said that ever since I got pregnant, he didn't really believe that it was his, that he thought I was just having a baby because I wanted a baby. And that's what he told me, that I was sleeping around on him.
At some point during the course of this show, you're going to have to like tell me why you love this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and my joke usually is to the girl, I better keep that kid from walking out here, right? Like, you guys
put up with all this. But even if she's that good looking, why would she put up with all that? Oh, her dad. We're gonna see how good looking her dad is. Let's bring him on. Okay. How can I be happy? I can't. He is a low-life scumbag who doesn't want to bring his back to you. You know something? I'll tell you something. How do I know that? You believe everything he says, so maybe he's telling you, well, don't say nothing. How am I gonna know? I'll tell you who is there for you, your mother and your father, always. How can I be happy? He put sugar in your gas tank, took advantage of, maybe hurting you and my grandkids, okay? Tried to have you arrested so he could have custody of your child. How did he try to have her arrested? Fighting back and forth with a country called the law. Said that she abused or she assaulted him. Did you want custody of the child? So you did the child. I just don't understand how you could love somebody that treats you that way. You say you changed up, mistake, time and again. You were with him, you broke up. You're with him, you broke up. You're with him, you broke up. It's just an ongoing thing. It ain't gonna change. You're a beautiful girl. Very beautiful. You're beautiful. Okay? You don't need something like that. A guy that can't hold a job, you pay all his bills. Come on. So, like you did, and thanks for being on the show, sir. I certainly appreciate it. You did just said it all. Like anything, you said what I would say the same thing. Like, it's no better than a man who has more invested in you than anybody else in the world. This is your father. And, at first it's a little funny about, sugar and gas tank and sex tape and everything. That stuff is minor compared to denying a child, calling the police on you, things like that. Those are not like minor, we're going through a crazy, dating period here. No, this is supposedly the father of your children, and he's acting this way. He's just a plain out scumbag.
You might want to try out these glasses at Spooky Books, a fascinating and spine-tingling natural setting with winding narrow passageways that will immerse you in an otherworldly experience.
I never, you did that was my business, huh? That was my I've never been on my baby. I want to know what this is. I'm not asking what she's doing now. She's my baby. My baby right now. Yeah, but she's my baby. And she's not my baby 100%. She's still my baby. She wants her. She changed her. She changed her. To get back with her. She's the mommy. You are no daddy, no how, boy. But what you are. Okay? Total respect for this manager. And actually respect her. How would you like it when your daughter grows up and you or something punk like you treats her like that? You ain't if you post this picture of your girlfriend, you should respect her to have that thing. So, you have fallen asleep pictures of them. It's great to have sex tape. I visited him for his partner, he was taking it. Yeah, you have kids. So why did you do that? I don't have no real just wanted that tape really, really bad. That's what it was. You wanted something to hold over her head. It just wanted. Did you put sugar in her gas tank? No, I didn't know. Did you ever deny the fact that this daughter, her daughter, is your daughter? I've had questions, but she's still my baby. Yes. Okay, I understand that, and I guess for the DNA test, that is. Okay, we'll find out. And you're saying because you spent time with the girl and everything, you feel like your father. Yeah, I love my baby. Yeah, my baby. Why would you have doubts? You feel like she's been unfaithful to you? There were times where I send her a text message or call her to an answer. She tells me she's with, some friends or whatever. When I get the text message right back, I call it right back to an answer, and really having that even if you are at the time taking around. I took a lie detector test before the show, Justin, and you were asked, while in a relationship with Alicia, have you ever seen her? You want to know? Have you ever seen issues with Alicia on the internet? You want to know? People think that you said that you tell on stage that you did, so you just get that on the list. If you ever put sugar in Alicia's gas station, and the answer no. And the results of your life detector test, and I gotta be honest here, I'm not completely shocked, is that you failed the whole test. You expected, I'm kidding. And I don't think you're shocked either. I don't think you're shocked. You're not surprised by any of it. I didn't put a question on. Yes, Dad. Okay. Yes, Dad. If you're the man that's trying for a lifetime, you're the man who said yes to marriage. And this is what she did. And you're going to tell me you really wrong? I'm sorry. I didn't put that picture on. Yeah. I did not put that picture on. I didn't do that. But how about the point of media? At least I've known about when I was taking I'd never slept with her while you and I were together. Right, while you were with Alicia. I've never slept with him while I was with Alicia. I swear to God. I mean, how can anybody believe anything that you say about this? Come on. I don't think anything's going to change. He is no more fighting him, but, nothing. He just does whatever he wants. And if you're in his way and you get hurt, too bad. Because you know what? You'll keep taking it. And honestly, this will be a good story. And I know you're hurt. And it's not to be little you or get mad at you. But yet I'm frustrated because I could be this guy in a few years. And I could be better than God. Don't go out that door. Because you could be my dollar for a second. And nobody, no man with a dollar wants him to go off the wrong way. Obviously, you took a lie detector test before the show, and you were asked, did you have sexual intercourse with someone other than Dustin around the time you got pregnant? You answered no. And the result of your lie detector test is that you did not tell the truth either. I don't know, maybe you're meant to be together.
You see it.
I don't know what to say. You have self-doubt, because certainly, you should, and you try to control now, kid, and really, with the way you're acting, neither one of you are being Roman. But Justin, let's find out the moment of truth. You had questions whether you are the father of her child, and the results of the DNA test is that you are the father. And here is the moment of truth. Justin, you can go out that door, takes care of our show. I hope you go out sometime and take care of your kids. That's my friend. Nice to see you on the show. And you know what? It seems like a really great day. You're involved with your kids. You love your daughter very much. And I sincerely hope this works out. Thanks for being on the show. So you can go out that door, around the last that you have, or you can go out that door to a man that nothing but love in his heart. He gave, your life, who has nothing but the best wishes and hopes and dreams that wants everything for you and wants you to come home to be loved in the right way. So, again, like what Shorty Bonnie have to say is, your life, you're grown up, parents, you did the truth, but now you are because you know where you go from here. Are you going to go out the door for your question, or are you going to go out the door for your time?
She went straight to the dude.
Don't get me wrong, over there, now you going off of what they said then. I'm going off of the situation. I'm going off of the fact that the people that have been around have been at top time. The money, to have been chicken that, they had to have million work for a growth. It was actually countryside. But what they told me, you going to have a way to think it's just wrong. You would have to have a state where it's actually fine. Okay, let me explain to you how much I feel like this is. Dante, yeah, I did not feel God to get the money. It's just like I said, but Dante, I don't believe this. That's not the reason I got the
Ah, shit.
I'm trying to decide. I really don't have to deal with it. Here's the thing. I'm going to go on and say you didn't take fun.
He did it. He took it. That's why he said just read the text.
Yeah, no, you're not talking.
That's why he said read the text.
For over $600. And she immediately suspected that her daughter's new boyfriend Kevin had something to do with it. But as the investigation unfolded, Edith discovered that her own daughter actually may have been involved as well. Take a look at the story and stay tuned for an update to find out who got arrested after the show.
Media work together and stuff like that. We don't know anything about him, I don't know anything about him. And the thing that shows him is that it doesn't affect my wallet.
So when I'm at work, you know, I realized that there was a check paid out for the $600. So he had to show my wallet after the time. So I'm going to check the money. So what night was really good stuff. After that, he called the inbox and let me know that they had 2 people next day and they took the good. And I was trying to see that the other hospital that they didn't give me the wrong because, like I said, the other day was really crazy. I would never think that you did anything to hurt me. But you never said anything like this with me.
This is really smart. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, if it was a car, if you was missing your car, you'd come see me and I might have it like that. And you got 10 years for stealing cars? With 37 cars from car line. And they never recovered any of them. And I already paid $1 million. You owe $500,000? Yeah. Well, they stole it. It's on it. I know. You gotta take everything you can get out of it.
It was like 11 o'clock at night. I messaged her and was like, oh, my mom got to call the ambulance. And I had something to snack. I had a half a tank of gas and 2 cigarettes, and it was 3 hours away. I took the thing.
And then you left.
I arrived at her house about 2:30 in the morning.
Couldn't get everything.
You haven't
And
let
the
me
man
know.
wants to move in.
Well, yes, because I was staying in my car. I told her, look, you want to go in there? Go in there. I'll be right here when you come up. But she wouldn't leave my side.
You know, but she contacted the police because somebody forged a $600 check.
Correct. One day she calls me, or calls Ashley, and tells her, well, you know, Tyler's account is a negative balance. They're saying it's balance. And she's like, what's going on? And somebody wrote the check out. Somebody wrote a check, which it didn't have no name on it. It just had the amount and some scribble scribble and a date. It didn't even have his name on it. And somebody deposited into an ATM machine for it.
And your picture and Ashley were there at the time that the check was deposited.
Correct.
So listen, you're not denying that you were at the ATM machine.
No, I was at the ATM machine 4 times. I have an account there.
But you said, you know, you're not there. You said you're there. I mean, about you got to the place that you made a withdrawal or deposit.
She was watching and kept on saying insufficient funds.
Well, you were trying to take money out? I mean, if it's so stupid to you to steal a $600 check, you got to mention you on probation, right? I mean, yeah. Parole? Okay. Probation, yes, sir. So if you gave yourself up, you're going back in, right?
Correct.
For how long?
17 years.
Man.
I mean, but it put a strain on me because I'm feeling though that I'm coming between her and my relationship.
Well, I think that is that.
And I'm trying to tell her to go home.
Let's be honest. Eat it.
My daughter has done the same since Mexico. I never was stealing from you. I would never steal from you. She has changed since the
What is these bills professional?
I'm taking the time to the police officer.
Now, what if you got it from?
Same thing.
I mean, they didn't
Well,
say
let's leave
nothing.
your daughter ask. Did you do anything to help steal your son's wallet?
No.
No. Did you think this kid was stealing my wallet?
Not at all.
I'm just saying that both of you saw it at the same moment the stolen check is check. You don't find that out?
Yeah, I got it, but I'm still with it.
What do you think? And you don't have to choose. You don't have to buy. What if you think?
Everybody was so
I hope you better That's
anyway, they was wallet. No. This is wallet. You want to stolen stuff. I'm saying, and they came back that Kevin did not tell the truth.
I would not. I'm done.
So we gave you 2 polygraph tests, deception indicated, and you used countermeasures. You tried to use countermeasures
need to get up. You're untrustworthy, and you stole one girl away from her mother. You are a scumbag. And Mr. He's up there. I think you have to go to the police coming now because he's about to do it. You don't need to life stuff. Yes, but did you participate in any way in taking your mother's wallet? The answer no. Told the truth. You know for sure Kevin took the mother's wallet. The answer no. She did not tell the truth. Do you know for sure Kevin deposited that $600 check into the ATM machine? She answered no. She did not tell the truth. How long
Hey.
do you think you last in jail? Not a day. And he's going back for 7 more. When they catch him on this, he's got to go back and do 7 more years in jail for $600. When did he finally admit it to you? When he was cashing the check? When did you know? Be honest. You did know. You want to stand there? You want to keep saying you don't know? This is your buddy. You don't want to tell her the truth now. You want to keep up with the lies? What do you want to say to your mother? No. What do you want to say to your mother? We can't tell you guys this. We can't. You're going down along with your scumbag boyfriend back there. You're going down too. Tell your mother what you knew. All right. Go use your Snapchat boyfriend. Get down off my stage. You know, it's a story. Kevin has been arrested. My family was arrested. She has since been bonded out. I have to say she realized this man was very good for her. We are trying really hard to get Mother Bear bond back. It could take a while to get stuff again, but
You got that.
I just want to thank you for all your help. Please think. Thank you. I hope Kevin goes back to jail where he belongs. But hopefully this is a wake-up call for Ashley. This was an extreme betrayal, but I hope you will work hard to regain your trust. I wish you the best of luck.
That makes no fucking sense, dude. I didn't even fucking hit nothing. Jeez, this shit is a fucking annoying.
One of her older sisters sabotaged her senior photos. She believes that one of them stole the wig she planned on wearing in the picture. Not only did the wig cost $430, but she spent the entire summer saving it. Her older sister, Albia, was on the show 6 years ago for a DNA test, and she is upset that her little sister is bringing her back to accuse her of being a thief. Take a look. You are the father of a girl. No, now I'm back about my sister's missing wig. I know I did not steal the wig. I do not know who stole the wig. I have an idea of who stole the wig. I'm here to prove that I had nothing to do with her wig going missing. Anybody who knows that I was stealing, Mother never told me that she was my 17-year-old sister who worked hard, who I'm proud of, because that she has been is doing in her life. She was freaking out because her wig went missing the day that she was supposed to take senior pictures, which I fully understand. But I don't deserve to be here for this because I didn't steal it. Am I going to wear the wig in front of her? What am I going to do with her wig? This is it's crazy to me, and it's not. I just want to prove that I had nothing to do with her wig. Also, my other sister is here to prove that she did not steal it. This wig was over $400, and I can understand why she was thinking about why her baby took it and who took it. But I honestly say I have nothing to do with it. I waited 3 years for this, and somebody, it didn't go missing with one of my friends in the house, or missing with my family in the house. 2 days before my senior pictures, I went to work. When I came back that night, I couldn't find the wig. But I don't want to cut you off, but when you buy a wig, and this is a big purchase for a young girl, right? And it's an important purchase, and it means a lot to you. Where do you put that wig in there? I put it in the Okay, so you have other games, but this is the Star Trek,
Yes.
and it's on like a mannequin head or something.
Yes.
Okay. I just, I don't know these things. Obviously. So what I'm saying, you don't have it like hid away like money or something. It's there. And everybody knows, hey man, this is the way, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so you got it there, you go to school one day, and you come back with it.
It's already gone. So I didn't want to dwell too much on because again I had work for probably because I was every weekend because I cannot work on school days because I'm in school and I'm also taking college classes to earn college credits before I get into college. So I came back from getting my nails done for some new pictures, and when I couldn't find the way, I was just in disbelief. Like I couldn't believe it. Like it's not something you want to. It was really overwhelming, you know.
So in your heart of hearts, who do you think stole your ring?
In all honesty, I think it was Sister
Avia. Let's meet Avia.
You just literally said my name. So you accused me, right? So what you gonna do when the lobby has to come back to United States? What you gonna do?
The fuck, dude? The fucking TV just gonna cut out. Bitch ass nigga. That makes no fucking sense. The fuck, dude? What the fuck is this? Oh. Fucking TV just cuts off. What kind of shit is that, man?
It is a podcast, a guy who has a YouTube channel. David, David, I think his name is. And he has a man named Peter Schiffel. They're talking about how they feel about voting. And so, voting and the requirements for voting contain clearly, precisely within the pages of this document, the United States Constitution. You see, it's these same dipshits who wave their constitutions around. I know that this guy does, or leadership specifically, but certainly their ideological counterparts pretend to revere the fundamental foundations of our it's somewhat granted to us. And these are right to participate in self-government is a right. It's not something that's granted to us. That is on display freely and openly. They're proud of these positions that they take. These are just rich dipshits who want to tie voting to how much money you generate, and this Peter Schiff goes into a real racist territory here. justifying poll taxes and some of the Jim Crow era disenfranchisement and thinks it should go back. Prepare yourself. This is a nightmare scenario that they want to, conservatives, want to inflict on Americans. It is their step-by-step plan to end democracy in America. And if they end it, they're going to sculpt, they're going to diminish the reach and power of democracy. Watch this.
I think it's earning the right to vote by a certain amount of slavery you do to earn the right to vote. Meaning, okay, with a 16-year-old kid, voting, if he paid, made $4,000 in income that year, paid $4,000 in taxes, she deserves to vote more than a 32-year-old that's never paid taxes. Yeah, I want the concept of someone contributing to society, but we restart those type of requirements. People have poll taxes, literacy tax, property taxes, all sorts of things. You know, have it like that.
It's interesting that Peter Schiff it's more. It just brushes right over. People used to poll tax, literacy. People is that you're talking about, but you're not really coming out and saying Peter Schiff. These black folks were poll taxes and literacy tests put on white people, even poor white people. No, they were not. It was all part of a systematic effort to keep blacks from the franchise of voting, through which they were guaranteed under the Constitution of the United States. And you got to bring it back. But David talks about earning the right. We don't earn a right. An abject moral. 14-year-old, he earns it through money, and he can vote. So poor people, no vote. Disabled people who can't vote, no vote. Sorry. Only the right. Only the rich. Only the income pool. Spoken like two rich guys who want to keep the power to themselves. Because if you broaden the net of people who participate in democracy, that's a world they don't want. The outcome from that would be an America that is distasteful. It is written. It's not inclusive. The whole idea, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. Nobody has the right to vote, it's a privilege. The whole idea is good government. The goal is to get good government. So, and if you get better government by respecting the electorate, then that's better than having everybody.
How is that better?
And so,
Stupid fuck.
liberty, happiness, property, voting is not a right. Nobody has the right to vote. That is a privilege, and that privilege can be restricted.
It's not the case. It's a better nomination. Better government, good government, according to whom? Leadership. According to you. Do we collectively come to the determination of what is good government or better government than we have? You do that through voting. So if you restrict voting from people who may have a different opinion about what's good or better government is, then your revenue is naturally going to prevail. Isn't a democratic republic which has representatives make decisions for us who are themselves elected democratically. And democratic republic is a form of democracy, whether it's dictatorship or not. And as far as the right to vote not being a right, at the moment, I'm just trying to find in the Constitution the list of privileges that are protected. Found either somewhere, right? I mean, this is the Constitution of the United States of America.
there's a list of privileges. Let's see the list of privileges that Peter Schiff will maybe I'll just reread it again for the 10,000th time to find these privileges that aren't really right. Conservatives will twist, they will warp, they will sully the very principles that they claim to stand for. The Constitution guarantees to protect these fundamental rights. They whine and they wail about this being the freest country, the greatest country in the world, while trying to keep marginalized groups, poor people, disabled people, black people, keep them out of power, away from the process. Rights for which people have died. Not Peter Schiff, not Patrick David. They're not doing any fighting. Certainly. Maybe read this document a couple times through before you open up your yap. Talking about what rights and privileges you have, gentlemen. What do you think out there? I would love to know. Call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, as always, daily@dollarmore.com. I'd love to hear from you. I work here. I do something for you that brings you value. I get 14-year-olds giving $10,000 in dollars. Please consider supporting my work, helping me produce these videos. Click the join button below. Become a channel member for $2 a month on YouTube. You can go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Not just for the podcast, absolutely supports the work we do here on YouTube. And follow me on social media. You can share this video, tag me on social media. I'd love to see it. $1 more. Be genuine. Take care. One. I know it's so hard to find a stick online, so I love using Google Pay for usually let's find the room first. That one's nice. Let's find a really good shade. That one definitely does not work. Let's try on one really partial undertone. And this is where this is. I'm not going to build the point I'm using the because the face I love the color is nice and bright. So I'm using the shade over the face rather than this line, you can see it just right down the bridge of the nose and a little bit of resistance. This is really going to shape and sculpt the face. Now go in with a blender, so this is not the color into the face. And I'm using the knife, like if I can do this is actually all of the areas that we applied the lighter shade of concealer. I'm trying a little bit of bronzer, doing a little bit more dimension. I'm going to be using a negative line brush here in the shade people wanted. They're going to pair really beautifully with the so I can see now.
Fucking queer ass dude.
Really beautiful ombre effect. Now I'm going to go in. And we're not going full on the fire. Are you like?
Conversation about election security to start with everyone's opinion, not with the metastasizing impacts of the big lie, but with the fact that in 2020,
going to get this project, the former Republican, voters chose President Joe Biden over Donald Trump, fair and square, in the quote, most secure election in America's history. Full stop. Should have been the end of the story. But because someone wouldn't or couldn't accept that truth, 4 years later, here we are, still fighting against an alternate, fabricated, dangerous non-reality. This afternoon, it's as clear as ever that the problem in America around this is getting worse, not better. Look no further than the Republican National Committee, it's co-chaired by Donald Trump, who just last month suggested his party was litigating the 2020 election. Recently, though, on her behalf, the RNC sent out a robocall to voters promoting unfounded claims of voter fraud. Nothing was too kind about airwaves playing the call. For all it is, repeated to death, the same old tired song again. BS. Like unsecured college spot options, dead people there, and blah, blah, blah. And despite what you heard again at the top of the show, the lifelong Republican Donald Trump's own Secretary of Defense said, the 2020 was the most secure election in American history. It's the letters of intention that got inspired by Donald Trump. Tomorrow's main event, and that is dual remarks from Donald Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson on the topic of both election integrity. This coordinates broadcast at this time, so I think that's still news of that. The good news, and the state that we're from today, is that advocates for the truth are pushing back on Trump's attempts to recap his case in his license. Take Judge Tanya Chutkan, for one. She's the one overseeing the federal January 6th case brought by special counsel Jack Smith. Yesterday, in a sentencing hearing for a man convicted of storming the Capitol, Judge Chutkan took exception to the idea that jail defendants charged with violent crimes are somehow hostages or constables. From the Associated Press, quote, they're being put there because they are dangerous people, Chutkan said. Chutkan rolled her eyes and shook her head when she learned from the prosecutor during Wednesday's hearing that the vigil's organizers refer to their gathering spot outside the jail as, quote, Freedom Corner. Is that what it's called? Freedom Corner? The judge asked, sounding incredulous. It's more than just two words, it's more than semantics. It's separating truth and lies, something the rest of us are going to need to do more of and more aggressively for the good of this country. November's election years. It's where we start this hour with some of our favorite experts in science. MSNBC contributor and columnist Charlie Sykes is here. The former Republican congressman and MSNBC political analyst David Jolly's here. And former lead investigator for the January 6th Select Committee from Peggy Scott. So here's who Judge Chutkan was referring to. Here's what the people Trump held hostages did. Each of the defendants being held pre-trial. Daniel Ball is charged with assaulting a law enforcement and throwing an explosive device. John Stanwellis is accused of firing a gun during the Capitol attack. Edward Kelly is charged with plotting to murder FBI employees after his release in the January 6th case. Dominic, it's another one that Trump calls a hostage, was arrested on DUI, charged while out on pre-trial release in his January 6th case. Edward Richmond Jr. previously killed an Iraqi civilian that had an AR-15 in his home, and Taylor Taranto showed up at President Barack Obama's home with guns and ammo after Trump posted President Barack Obama's home address. So these are the folks that Trump starts every rally honoring and looking at and calling hostages. What is, again, Trump's not going to change my conversation about Trump, but what is the job, what's the task for the rest of us in making sure that the truth at least has a fighting chance against the lie?
Yeah, Nicole, I appreciate that last graphic, and it reinforces what Judge Chutkan said, which these are the worst of the worst, right? There's a spectrum of relative culpability of the people who were at the Capitol on January 6th. There were people who were there and trespassed. They went into the building for a short period of time and left. They've been prosecuted, as they should be. Then there are people that assaulted police officers, people that destroyed property, people that were organizing to commit acts of violence to disrupt the joint session. So there's this conspiracy. He was upholding the far end of that spectrum, the most seriously dangerous people who are held in prison because they're either a danger to the community or a risk to
conversation will come from the old version of this job and this job and later for you to say you got a peace counselor. She went to the ball games and stood up for what she thought was the truth and the right to travel and knock down lives during the Cherokee's administration. Let me say what she said about the addictive nature of this. He said, and this is the word, and this is the same thing, is among the first things. You think that he's a place to occur, but if you think about it, you actually people see you, and you say that, and you know that it's like, you know, you are, you, it's addictive, and you use you just understand that you're being manipulated. You do not have agency, and it isn't operations or even your own political power plays. I mean, it is also the tech that is connecting you. It's daunting when you put it that way. The forces on the side of disinformation are as powerful and addictive as cocaine.
Right, and Donald Trump has this obsession on the Republican Party, and I don't know how many people actually believe the lie. There's not much difference between pretending to believe something and then actually believing it. And you wonder what will here. What do you believe about this? I think part of what you do is you connect the dots that you just laid out. There's real cognitive dissonance in listening to Donald Trump describe the people that he had up on that screen as patriots, as law-abiding freedom fighters, and making his embrace of them central to his campaign. And, even people like Karl Rove, they said this is a tremendous mistake, this is political malpractice. Because when you begin to learn what these individuals did, the attack on the police officers, the viciousness of their assault on the U.S. Capitol, and then you juxtapose that with Donald Trump's rhetoric, and frankly, unless you are deep in the mother Kool-Aid, you're going to see the dissonance there. There's something not right there. But it is interesting that with Donald Trump right now, between Mike Johnson and the RNC, they are all in on relitigating the 2020 campaign and trying to retcon the January 6th election. That's the issue they decided to make central to their campaign. I think that's going to be something that needs to be prosecuted by not just by the Democrats, but by people of goodwill and by journalists for the next year.
Well, just to Fox News, David Dolly, I mean, I think that the facts about who Donald Trump calls hostages are probably irrelevant to, I don't know, Laura Ingraham, or I don't know if it's on an 8 anymore, than Tucker Carlson, or maybe, again, I don't know. I don't know who the extremists are, but I know Brett Barron are from the Calum are serious journalists. And again, you don't need everyone in time on Fox to be horrified by the conduct of the hostages. You just need the people who are still journalists there to communicate even to that audience that these are not hostages. These are violent criminals. What Trump is doing. He wants to convince his base of something so ridiculous and too distorted and to decimate enthusiasm of the Democratic coalition, saying, we're not going to lose on this, we're going to win on this. But he's talking to a shrinking pool of people. And to answer Charlie's question, I mean, I have the numbers in front of me. I think that 81% of Trump's hardcore base believes the lies. That number's up from January. 81% of Trump supporters believe the Biden won the 2020 election because of fraud. 51% of Republicans, 58% of most fervent supporters believe the lies. And those lies went before 61 judges. A lot of them, some of them Trump appointees, he lost 60 cases. I mean, the lies were adjudicated. Bill Barr first, who couldn't find any. I mean, the facts are so plain. But the fact that his fervent base is becoming more addicted to the lies is not politically important in terms of the numbers. How do you make sure that stays out?
Yeah, with the numbers within the Republican Party where they are on believing the big lie, it really is now a self-affirmation feedback loop between Donald Trump, the candidate, and the party. And Charlie's point is exactly right. It doesn't matter if they really believe it or not, they just pretend to believe it. So I think for serious journalists, but also for honest brokers who are voters and participate in today's democracy, shame plays an important role. And I know that's somewhat we should be cautious to reach for it, but look, given the amount of disinformation being sown by Donald Trump and Laura Trump and Mike Johnson and Fox News opinion hosts in prime time, there's nothing left for Vladimir Putin to do in this election. I mean, the foreign actors who want to interfere in our election, their purpose is to cause distrust, to cause confusion, to sow misinformation. It's not necessarily to pick the candidate. Well, guess who's sowing the disinformation right now? One of our mainstream candidates, or previously mainstream parties, nominee, Donald Trump, Laura Trump, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And so I think for sober minds, you really do have to shame them, not just for the disinformation, but for the danger. This disinformation was the predicate for a violent insurrection just 4 years ago. And there were three elements to the violent insurrection. It was the big one. It was the disinformation. That's the first one. The second was the invitation to come to Washington, and the third was to go to the Capitol with strength. This is what they're now doing. They are saying you cannot trust the 2024 election. That's what Vladimir Putin wants America to be crippled by. Donald Trump is doing it himself. It's absolutely dangerous for Donald Trump and Laura Trump. And I think shame plays a role in this, not just for the candidates, but for Republican activists down the line that peddle this crap.
And peddle this crap, they plan to do some peddling tomorrow at Mar-a-Lago. So Nancy, talk a little bit about what Trump did on January 6th was hijack the set, right? He used the White House as a set, not to serve the country, not to run the country. He was on the two voting machines. He had Mike Flynn and the pull-up person and the overstock person in there to practice. They discussed the sets and the optics. And tomorrow the set is Mar-a-Lago. The actor is the Speaker of the House. Just talk about the manipulation of time and how you know
That's a really good point, an interesting point. You know, when he got to the alerts, the voting materials, first focus was on the noise of this large cloud that was inside the 90 cameras. So, you know, consideration of that and voting and he consistently goes to that. It explains his intentions. It is all about image and bluster. The motivation for the people is driven by a crazy pitch. The reason that this continues getting out of others is that it comes, unfortunately, these to be successful. Even if they think strong, it is a big gift to the former president his entire life. We introduced a lot of information about that incessant fundraising on those false representations of election fraud. So the motivation, you know, it's amazing that more Americans don't see that they are essentially being suckered with this big lie and intent to get their $10 a month or their $100 contribution that goes to the same America. But it's the obsession with image, it's the
installation, Charlie Sykes, is a scene of Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago honoring the House Speaker, who Cheney describes as a, quote, enabler of the insurrection and a, quote, architect of the efforts to disqualify the actual results of the 2020 election, the actual credible and secure victory of President Joe Biden. This is being pitched as an election integrity event. This is so far-fetched. What's up is down. This is the opposite of that. What are your thoughts as this gets pitched and tries to be sort of spoon-fed to the media?
The politics of abasement. Donald Trump was definitely more and he's flexing his muscles. And I suppose, we ought to point out how interesting it is that the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who's struggling to save his job, feels the need to go down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss that ring on the Friday before Donald Trump's felony trial begins. This is, again, we need to keep all of these things in the frame here. But I'm old enough to remember when the Speaker of the House of Representatives was a powerful individual, but now the most powerful members of the House of Representatives are Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, and then there's Mike Johnson. And we have no doubt where the power really rests. What's interesting there, though, is that what's on display is just Donald Trump's dominance, but also the source of all of the dysfunction and the disarray of the Republican Party, because you think of all the long knives that are out between those individuals, all the dysfunction between all of those folks, and they're all giving one another. It would be entertaining if the stakes were not so huge, because the fate of the fate of our intelligence authorities around the country, we're going to get another Mar-a-Lago contract.
Sure, indeed. Charlie and David, stick around. I'll be back later in the hour. Tim Pacey, thank you for starting us off this hour. When we come back, we'll pick up on the point that we just made to talk about what Speaker Mike Johnson's challenge at Mar-a-Lago tomorrow says about Republicans and policies far-right extremists. Let's just throw the party into further chaos ahead of the November election. New York Congressman Dan Goldman will be our guest. Plus, dire warnings today about how autocrats scale their opponents. What the Putin playbook tells us about what could happen here. And what happened when the Gerald Ford Presidential Foundation ruled out giving Liz Cheney its annual public service medal. The top trustee resigned, giving the foundation a potential retaliation by the disgraced ex-president. We'll have that story later in the hour. Devin, let's give you a quick break and go anywhere. Earth One, it reached a desperation in the Republican White House. The Speaker is claiming to be ex-president for a lifeline to save him and his caucus from their own very low standards for politics, the inability to govern, and the chaos of yet another Speaker election. The worrying if the most extreme members of the Republican caucus succeed in ousting given Politico today. So don't expect full-on love fest. For one, Trump is very close to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the bigger issue is that Mike Johnson still has a legislative minefield to navigate, and Trump's opinion of the federal speaker could certainly change even his in So what do you think of behind Speaker Johnson's president tomorrow?
Well, it's very clear, as we saw this week, when Donald Trump on social media to kill FISA, and then 20 Republicans voted down the rule to prevent it from even coming to the floor for debate, that Donald Trump controls the House Republican Party. And Mike Johnson is stuck between a rock and a hard place because he's in a position where he actually has to govern. And Donald Trump and Donald Trump's minions in the House have no desire to govern, so Trump realizes that he has to placate in order to actually do representatives. But we've seen this happen before, and there's no good outcome that comes from you if they have to negotiate with Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, and Liz Cheney calls Mike Johnson one of the architects of the January, I think his efforts behind overturning the election and enabler of January 6th and Donald Trump's conduct. Just describe how he's tried to, your words, govern as Speaker and how that's complicated by his past errands for Donald Trump.
Well, look, Mike Johnson has realized how different it is to be the Speaker of the House than a backbencher from a very conservative district in Louisiana, where your vote is not that significant to the grand scheme of things. Now he actually has to lead the House, and Congress has several things that it is responsible for doing, including funding the government. Now, Mike Johnson basically tied his whole life into just keeping the government funded. We have done nothing else of any significance in the entire time that he has been Speaker. And in order to do that, he has had to rely on Democrats, because the majority of House Republicans have voted against the appropriations bills and the continuing resolutions that would fund the government. That's the bare minimum, Nicole. And so now he's stuck, because he clearly knows, we all know from classified briefings, that if Ukraine does not get more funding, that it will lose this war to Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, a dictator, will conquer a democratic country in Ukraine. This will be the first time since World War II that any fascist or authoritarian government has physically overtaken and conquered a democratic ally. And it will be on Mike Johnson's hands. Because if we don't pass this bill for Ukraine, Mike Johnson and this House Republican Party and Donald Trump, who is leading the charge here, will be responsible for Vladimir Putin winning this war. If we do fund Ukraine, they can and will win the war. So this is a binary decision right now. And Mike Johnson is stuck because he's being threatened to be removed if he actually does promote democracy around the world by supporting, just with money, not troops on the ground, our democratic ally. And then if he is vacated, then all chaos rolls out, Nicole. And at some point, we are going to have to ask the question, if Marjorie Taylor Greene or others go forward and remove him from being Speaker, the question to ask is which two Republicans are going to realize that their own party is dysfunctional and chaotic and will vote for Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker of the House, and that are to allow the Democrats to actually do the work for the American people, because we are clearly the only ones capable of doing it.
It's important, I think, that you put the stakes down clearly and bluntly. And I wonder, with your perspective from impeachment one, I mean, what was your reaction when you saw two current elected officials, two current House Republicans say, yeah, my party has been taken over by Russian disinformation? I mean, that's what Mike Johnson is doing, but you, as Democrats, are trying to navigate around. It's ludicrous, but I wonder now that it's out in the open, if it's easier to do what you just said, peel off two Republicans to support a Speaker Jeffries.
Yeah, at some point, and it's notable who those Republicans are, because they are chairmen of committees of international and foreign policy and intelligence committees who know better than anyone what the truth is, who the dangers are, and who our allies are. And for them to validate what I and so many others have been saying for so long is a major, major thing that we need to pay close attention to. The reality is, we've seen it in the Oversight Committee, this entire impeachment investigation has been one big Russian propaganda exercise from start to finish. And there seems to be, even though the Republicans know it, they seem not to care on that committee. But in more serious committees where our national security is at stake, where our intelligence is revealed, then these chairmen understand, these Republican chairmen understand that Russia is our adversary. Russia is trying to undermine our democracy just as it's doing with Ukraine. And the fact that a wannabe dictator like Donald Trump has captured the Republican Party to such a degree that they go around with his support for a desperate and tyrannical fascist dictator like Vladimir Putin is just the tip of the iceberg, but is so shocking in its effort to
to undermine democracy, not only in Russia and Ukraine, but here at home. And that is what is at stake this November.
Yes, and Dan Bowman, thank you very much for spending time with us on this today. When we come back in the day that we learned that Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny wrote a memo to show his death in a Russian prison, time may be running out for another prominent critic of Vladimir Putin, as fears grow about how authoritarian leaders exact retribution on their political opponents. But first, it's 2 months since the full world woke up to the tragic news that Putin's critic Alexei Navalny had died in a Siberian prison at the age of 47, a death. A murder quite possibly considered to have Putin's fingerprints all over it. Silencing a dictator's critics, whether that means jailing them, poisoning them, or murdering them, threatening their family, is the Kremlin's task, because it's straight out of every dictator's playbook. Leading death, Alexei Navalny and the grassroots pro-democracy movement he set in motion and inspired cannot be silenced or stopped. We saw an outpouring after his death in Russia, simply laying a wreath of flowers on the memorial to get someone arrested. And soon the world will get another powerful reminder of Navalny's enduring message. Because during the years leading up to his death, Navalny was writing a memoir about his life and work as a pro-democracy activist. That memoir, entitled Patriot, will be published in October. Navalny's widow called it her husband's, quote, final show of defiance, a testament not only to Alexei's life, but to his unwavering commitment to the fight against dictatorship. Navalny was the most famous of Putin's political prisoners, but he's far from the only one. Human rights groups estimate that there are almost 700 political prisoners in Russia, including Vladimir Kara-Murza, the journalist turned political activist who was taken prisoner 2 years ago today. As the Wall Street Journal reports, quote, if Navalny deserved to become president of free Russia, Kara-Murza would have made the perfect foreign minister. He's serving a 25-year sentence for criticizing the Kremlin and their war on Ukraine. He's been poisoned twice. He's been in a coma twice. And doctors say he could soon be the next Russian dissident after Alexei Navalny to die young. And while this is maybe some people said it is a Russian story, it's also a universal story we should all pay attention to about the price of standing up to dictators. With our own democracy facing a nearly unprecedented threat of sliding into something more closely resembling autocracy, it's important conversation. Part of our series, American Autocracy, it could. And here, joining us now is Bill Browder, CEO of Hermitage Capital Management and head of the Global Presidency Justice Campaign, which seeks to expose corruption, is named in honor of Kremlin critic Sergei Magnitsky, who also died in a Russian prison. Thank you so much for being with us. I've watched every interview you've done. I follow everything you say. I saw your comments in the Wall Street Journal. And the first thing I wanted to ask you is, do you know how your friend is doing?
The answer is not well. He, as you mentioned, he's been in custody for 2 years. Because they had tried to kill him with poison twice before, the after effects of those poisons have been affecting and dogging his life for a long time. He's been in solitary confinement in Siberia in prison. They allow him out of his cell into a tiny little courtyard for 90 minutes a day. The rest of the time he's got to sit in this tiny little cell. He can't move around. His bruising sensation in both of his feet from nerve damage from the poison. And most doctors don't believe that he'll survive another 2 years, let alone 25 years of his sentence. He's been given the longest sentence of any political prisoner in Russia. And after the murder of Alexei Navalny, we're desperately worried that he could be next.
This is what you said about how he ended up here, how and why he went to the Wall Street Journal. I want to read it to you. Over dinner in London, Bill Browder asked Kara-Murza to consider his family. So I said to him, the worst that happens is you get killed, and the best that happens is you get arrested. He was unmoved by that. 2 weeks after the dinner, Kara-Murza was back in Moscow. In an interview soon after, he accused Putin of killing his opponents and said the Kremlin chooses poison as a favored method of assassination because it gives plausible deniability. Noting that Kara-Murza was speaking from Moscow, The anchor asked whether he was concerned that if he is targeted again, he will die. Shermer's answer, quote, the biggest gift we could offer the Kremlin is to give up and run. Hours later, as he returned home, he was arrested and charged. It's so harrowing because it seems that he knew, and he told you he knew exactly what his fate would be. So as we cover these events, he may be the least surprised by them. Tell me how someone does that, how someone, and you put it all in front of him, right? He loves his family, obviously, and they love him, but just tell me more about him and his decision to go back and criticize the Kremlin.
Well, it's hard for us to really understand what a person is, but he was. When I pressed him on going back and all the risks that he was taking, he said, I have to go back. I'm a Russian patriot. I'm a Russian politician. I'm against the war, and I'm standing up against the war, and I want other people to stand up against the war. And how can I do that if I'm afraid to go back? And the kind of sort of bravery and heroism and selflessness that he demonstrates is something that we don't see very often, certainly not in the Western world. We saw that also with Alexei Navalny, who went back. But this is a type of heroism that we don't see. And you know, it's hard to imagine the kind of pain that he's suffering right now as a patriot for his country. And as you mentioned, you know, that there's a lot of people that you know won't even vote against something shocking in Congress because they're afraid of losing their job. And here you have a guy who's ready to lose his life for his country and go back and take that risk. And it really does, you know, show us what heroism, bravery, and patriotism is all about.
What impact does it have, or did it have on Navalny, and does it have on Paramirza when two House Republicans will say in TV interviews, listen, Russian propaganda has infected large portions of my party? How much does that strengthen Putin's hand in being as brutal on these dissidents as he wants to be?
How's that?
Well, we should understand that Putin wants to thump his chest and pretend that he's winning this war and everything is going his way, but that's not the case. I mean, he's lost more than 400,000 troops, according to Ukrainian estimates. There's just been like 95% of their tanks have been destroyed. There's huge economic losses from the sanctions. And he kind of needs Hail Mary. And his Hail Mary is if the U.S. gives up on supporting Ukraine. And it hasn't been a very expensive exercise for him to flood the internet with trolls and nonsense, making people believe that somehow Ukraine was bad and Russia was good. And there are some people in America, in the Republican Party, with Mike Johnson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and so on, who are actively spouting that. And if from Putin's perspective, if he gets Donald Trump, if he gets, cuts off funding for Ukraine, that's his Hail Mary. And he's desperate for that because if he doesn't get that, he's got big problems himself.
Can you quantify, we all know now what Putin's willing to do in 2016. If you just articulated, the stakes are much higher. He's lost 400,000 Russian men and women supposedly fighting this losing war in Ukraine. What are the stakes for Putin in 2024 of getting Trump?
Well, so what Putin has at risk here is his own life. If Putin loses in Ukraine, if Ukraine were to successfully dislodge Russia from their territory, the Russian people would say, why did we do this? Why did we lose whatever hundred thousands of citizens in this pointless war? Why did we lose all this money? Why did we do this? And yet, our strong man is weak. And if that would have happened, if the Russian people came to that conclusion, they would say, we don't want this guy anymore. And it's not going to be a democratic process. They'll just get rid of him. They'll hang him from a lamppost like the Romanians did with Ceausescu at the end of the Soviet Union. And Putin understands that. And so for him, it's a question of personal survival. for this war to continue, for this war for Russia not to be dislodged. And that's why all this foreign stuff is necessary. Why he needs Hungary to block European Union funding and Mike Johnson to block U.S. funding and so on and so forth. Because if that doesn't happen, he's afraid of dying. If Ukrainians succeed, Putin thinks he's going to die. And he doesn't want to die. He's ready to sacrifice as many millions of young Russian men as is necessary to die.
Yeah, that was.
With his face and heart. And Bill Brother, thank you very much for being with us today, because this was up to you. Here, the district president and the set of retribution, they discussed the Gerald Ford Presidential Foundation's and honoring a champion of democracy. Former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Bring that story now.
This is happening all over the country where people are afraid to step up, afraid to say anything. And Liz is a bright, shining light. She's been threatened with death. She's had, her family threatened for just being petty and fearful, like so many people in the country. And you gotta listen to Liz. I mean, she's out there getting big crowds all around the country of Democrats and Republicans to hear her message, which is to keep Donald Trump away from the Oval Office. That's the only word she wants.
And it's the latest example of how the power of authoritarianism is usually freely given, as historian and expert Tim Snyder puts it. Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer David Hume Kennerly there, who served as Gerald Ford's presidential photographer. He resigned from the board of trustees on Ford's presidential foundation over its refusal to consider former Congresswoman Liz Cheney for its top yearly award, believing the foundation is powering to the specter of retribution in a potential second Trump term. Her nomination for the foundation's Distinguished Public Service Medal was apparently rejected 3 times. The foundation argues it, quote, might be construed as a political statement if Cheney were to launch a presidential bid, putting the foundation at risk of losing its nonprofit status with the IRS. In a scathing resignation letter obtained by Politico, Kennerly writes this, quote, the historical irony was completely lost on you. Gerald Ford became president in part because Richard Nixon had ordered the development of an enemies list and demanded his underlings use the IRS against those listed. That's exactly what the executive committee fears will happen if there's the second coming of Trump. If the foundation that bears the name of Gerald R. Ford won't stand up to this real threat to our democracy, who will? The foundation's executive director says that Cheney should still be considered for a medal in the future. Rebecca, Charlie, and David. David Daly, it is sort of the quintessential story that embodies the long reach of Trump modeling himself as an authoritarian figure. What do the rest of us do is a question I tried to put out there. In this case, the Ford Foundation gave up the opportunity to award someone pretty clearly the kind of person they've awarded in the past.
Yeah, and look, Kennerly is taking on what he calls the tidal wave of timidity, and I think that's absolutely true. I mean, the road to authoritarianism, to autocracy, is normalized with 1,000 small decisions. And in this case, the decision was to instead give their annual award to Nick Stanton. Someone with a career of public service considered a real gentleman in politics, who spent the last 9 years as a university president, and I'm not sure the profile and courage is there for Nick Stanton, like it is the relevancy of the courage of Liz Cheney right now, which is why Kennerly is right to call out the board for saying, look, we are going to join that tidal wave of timidity and look the other way. They're looking the other way. In this series on autocracy, Nicole, it is defined many times by people looking the other way. This is the way to suggest. What's extraordinary about this is that it is this timidity is that they came to Donald Trump's threat of retribution 6 months before the election. I think it was Ed Luce who made the point, if they're willing to cave in before even becoming president, and having a silence organization, when he actually wields the power, this was a feature of the Ford campaign regime. They were have a police officer on every corner. They don't have to drop that hammer. They really have to threaten to do so. And so dominant sense, just the sense that you might mobilize the power of the federal government in vengeance is enough to make this foundation back off. Not only got a very concerned the other day, Nicole, about why the business community in this country has been so reluctant to speak out. Because in many ways, they're going through the same process. There's this diversion of different things. They're coming to an end. You don't want to offend it. You don't want to criminally charge it. They find license on it. They want to impose new taxes on it. And this is part of the world that we live in. But if authoritarian doesn't take executive action or pass punitive legislation, there's really threat and really there right now, even before we receive the president.
Yeah, and the thing that we're going to spend, I think, the next few weeks and talking about is we're going to look at those things because this is so obvious. You know, it's just actually off the course for the practices. He must be the risk without a risk when, you know, with what the demonstrators. Kelly Sykes, David Jolly, thank you very much for spending the hour with us. A quick break for us. We'll be right back.
Sau khi được nhận tên thì mình đi có phương tiện như thế này. Nếu mà mọi người thích thì theo dõi video của mình, còn bây giờ thì xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người ở những video tiếp theo. Bye bye.
FDA has announced that there is a nationwide shortage. So, if you don't have a genuine need for it, please save it for anyone who has a legitimate prescription. And if you do have a prescription, now is the time to sell your school kids. Make that money. In international news, the superstar K-pop band BTS has announced that its members will soon begin reporting for mandatory service in the South Korean military. Yeah, which is great news for South Korea. Because their army is basically unstoppable now. There is no army in the world that's going to take a shot at these guys. Are you kidding me? Who's going to be stupid enough to take a shot? Everyone's a fan. How many soldiers are going to be like, I just got stabbed by Jim. This is the best day of my life. In tech news, Kanye West announced today that he is going to buy the right-wing social media platform Parler because, quote, he wants to make sure we have the right to freely express ourselves. And thank God, because I've been waiting to hear Kanye's unfiltered thoughts on things. You never get to hear that. You don't want to hear anything he has to say? So shy. So shy.
Look, you got body.
So often do with songs. And I know when Trump is in the news, it's usually because he was caught doing more crimes, but this time, it's also because of that. I don't know what can I say? So, let's find out about his latest one in our ongoing segment, America Takes Tremendously Wanted. Even after he left the White House, Trump created his own social media app called Truth Social, which is basically just Twitter, but for white supremacy. Before you say, wait, aren't the white supremacy known on Twitter? Yes, but the Truth Social, they're verified. Now, believe it or not, there might also be a dark side to Truth Social. Other whistleblowers now accusing former President Trump's social media company of violating federal securities laws. Will Wilkerson is a former executive at Trump Media and Technology Group, which launched the Truth Social platform. He tells the Washington Post the Drake company tried to raise capital by making fraudulent misrepresentations about finances. The SEC is now investigating. The co-founder told the Washington Post the former president asked one executive to relinquish his shares of the company to former First Lady Melania Trump and had him removed from the board of directors when he refused.
What?
This social media platform is the company making shady financial gains? The most interesting allegation is that he tried to bully one of his board members into giving his shares to Melania, which is just problematic. Well, ladies, find you a man who has some security fault for you, right? This is like a shared in Truth Social issue. If they look like that, pretty good until the last minute, you're like, of course, that makes sense.